What's on YouTube? It's PeteTT back at it with another Division video. And today guys, we're talking about Legendary Mode. So welcome to my first 1.6 hints and tips video. So up first, let's clarify for all of you what Legendary Mode is and where it can be found. So as I'm sure you are all aware, the 1.6 update brought us Legendary Mode and a new difficulty tier. That is kind of supposed to keep us all from just noticing how easy the game has become and the fact we've failed to get a gear score increase with the most recent update. Now, unfortunately, Legendary Mode wasn't introduced to all missions, so for now, if you want to take part in a Legendary mission, you have to choose from one of the following three missions: Napalm Production Site, Warren Gate Power Plant, and Times Square Relay. Now, if I was actually to categorise these missions into what I believe are the hardest, middle and easiest, then I would definitely say that Times Square is by far the easiest of the three and Warren Gate is by far the hardest. Now, don't get me wrong guys, all three missions will test your skills for both you and your team. But we found Times Square to be a fairly easy ride-in, taking about 40 minutes to complete compared to the 3 hours it took the night before to complete Napalm. Now, obviously, while playing through these missions, we've managed to pick up a fair few hints and tips that we can pass on to you guys in the hope of making your life easier, if indeed you do decide to have at it with a Legendary Mode yourself. So, let's jump into it. First up, I highly recommend that you take a pre-made fire team into Legendary Mode and do not matchmake. Now, the reason I say this is because Massive have yet to implement anything that forces players into game chat when matchmaking. So, for all intents and purposes, you could end up in a Legendary mission with 3 other people and have no chain of communication. And trust me guys, the biggest hint and tip I can give you is that communication is absolutely key to completing these missions. Now then, let's look at our second tip. Take your time. Yes, Legendary is hard and challenging, and I'm sure people want to try and get it done as quick as possible for those exotic caches. But you need to remember, guys, that this is very unforgiving. If your team dies, then you will end up being taken back a fair old way to what is the one and only checkpoint of the mission. Now, personally, we have experienced this several times now, and yes, it is a major pain in the arse to be up against the final boss and be reset back to the middle of the mission in Warren Gate is a major ballsack kicker. But guys, this is supposed to be hard and challenging, and if you don't mind, I want to draw a quick comparison to the Year 1 Destiny Nightfalls, where if, as a team, we wiped, we were returned to orbit and had to start the whole thing again. And while I don't really want to get drawn back into a whole Division Destiny comparison, I do admit that personally the Year 1 Destiny Nightfalls were, in my opinion, the best placed Nightfalls have ever been, and now we have a similar mode in the Division that rewards us on completion with an exotic cache, a ton of loot, and appearance items that can't be gained anywhere else in the game, so it's kind of really a nice touch. Now then, while we're on this topic, let me give you another hint that we found very helpful, and that is if you do wipe and have to start over again, then take a quick break. Go for the toilet, have a smoke break, even make yourself a cup of tea or something before retrying it again. That's what we do if we wipe, and then a few minutes later, obviously, we crack on and try again. Now, I know people might not be happy with me saying this, but it's true, guys. These missions can take its toll on you, especially if you're kind of on the lower gear side. They take a very long time. They can be very stressful. So just take time and enjoy the experience. Up next then, let me try and address a question I've been asked very frequently when we stream these modes, and that is, hey Pete, what is the best gear set and weapons to run when doing Legendary Mode? And to be honest guys, I don't think there's actually a best set or weapon setup for Legendary Mode. I believe that it's all about down to the team composition and the way a team is geared up and set up to assist each other that makes Legendary Mode, dare I say it, easy. Now then, on that note, let me take a few minutes to talk you through what we as a team use when running these modes. Then we'll touch on a few variations. So, up first, my personal build. Now, this is made up of a mixture of high-end pieces and exotics. I rock a Barrett's chest piece, a Tenacious mask, but I also use Ferros for napalm production. Shortbow knee pads, a specialised backpack, and the Skulls MC gloves with the Colonel Bliss's holster. Now obviously there are a few other bits of gear that I use and swap around depending on what I actually play, but I will follow up this video with several build guides later on in the week. Now then, on to the team builds. So Binary is our team tactician and his gear will be what we cover first. So As you can see from the overview, Binary is running 4-piece Tactician and 2-piece Nomad. Now, I don't, again, want to make this a build guide, so again, I'll follow up in the days to come with a full build guide on the whole team, but the key parts I wanted to share with you was the basic team setup in the stats and the skills. So Binary is sitting at 297k DPS with 333,000 toughness and a big amount of 240,000 skill power. Now this is an important part of Binary's build on the team, guys, because if we go back and look at his skills, you will see that his pulse brings an extra 23.2 crit chance to the team and 30.9 crit damage. So, you know, this is a great help to the team. But obviously this is only the base stat based on his skill power, and that does not include the 4-piece Tactician buff. So yeah, that's a quick overview of Binary, our support / skill build on the team. Let's now look quickly at Weege and Kaylee. So Kaylee will cover first, and as you can see, she plays our team's crowd control role. Rocking a Firecrest build with an Urban MDR, she helps the team in two very important different ways. One, her Firecrest provides the team with some pretty decent crowd control in the form of a flame turret, and this helps to keep the NPCs from pushing up too hard on us. And secondly, she applies, more importantly, the burn status effect to NPCs in a very wide area. Now, this is very important, but I will cover why a little bit later. Next then, we have Weege's role. So as you can see, Weege is rocking his 1.6 version of an Alpha Bridge build and is our dedicated DPS player. Now again guys, I will do a full breakdown of all of these builds as the next few weeks roll on. So, you know, make sure to stay tuned. It's going to be pretty good. I'm hoping I can help you guys out a lot here. Now, the reason I wanted to show you these builds is because I wanted to highlight to you the need for a well-built team that work well together with various different builds. Now then, for those of you kind of keen-eyed viewers out there, you have probably noticed the weapons, because weapons are something that can not only make a big difference to your own survivability and damage output, but also the team damage output. Now, as you probably noticed, Kaylee and Binary and myself are all running the Urban MDR. And there's a pretty goddamn good reason for that, guys. See, if you didn't know already, the Urban MDR has the new talent Distracted, and it increases your damage by 18% against targets with the status effect on them. Now, I'm sure you kind of all see where this is going, but to clarify, the fire turret causes targets to burn, and this is a status effect. So when a target is burning, myself, Kaylee and Binary all do an extra 18% damage to those targets. When you combine all three of those 18%, you get a total increased team damage output of 54%. Now, this is seriously noticeable and also shows my point about teamwork and communication, because as the targets get set on fire, it falls to all of us as a team to focus fire on the targets that are burning in order, so we can maximize the damage dealt by all three of us working together. So yeah guys, top tier. Get an MDR, have a Firecrest build on the team. You'll honestly notice the difference in the team's time to kill on those heavily tanked up NPCs. Now again, I'll follow this video up with some build guides and even a couple of strategy guides for each legendary mode in turn. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications on so you don't miss a video. Now then, we have a few more hints and tips to cover, so let's crack on with it. Up next, I want to talk about strategy, because working well in a team can be very key to either completing or failing a legendary mode. Now then, when we as a team take on one of these missions, we always select certain people to take up certain roles, and as we go through the mission, we utilise these roles in order to maximise our team's progression. So, as an example, Napalm production site. Several elite heavies with shields will greet you in the kind of final area before the boss room, and these can be extremely nasty and be very hard to take down. So what we do is we split up into two teams of two that we have as pre-designated team split-offs, and what we do is we get two of the guys to draw aggro from a kind of normal position. That's normally Kaylee and Binary, while Weege and myself move into flanking positions behind the elites so that we can get their backpacks going, thus killing them quickly and effectively. Now again guys, this is just one of many examples that I could give you about working as a team to get things done, and it just goes to show you how important teamwork can be and communication, because if you get it wrong, you end up with a wipe and you could lose out on a very long amount of time and a lot of effort being put into it just to have to start it all over again. Now then, one final top tip I have for you guys before we wrap up part 1 of my legendary hints and tips video, and that is to make sure to carry several different weapon types with you at all times. Now again, so there's no confusion guys, let me clarify, I mean carrying an LMG, an assault rifle, an SMG, a marksman rifle and a shotgun. Now the reason I say this is that you can find very quickly, especially in legendary mode, that you are running through your ammo, and it's always quicker to just swap weapons and carry on than it is to necessarily run all the way back to the nearest restock. And in some situations it's not always possible to get back to a restock, so having different weapons already modded ready to just swap out on the fly is always a good idea. Now I'm sure that a lot of you guys watching this have probably already completed a legendary mode, so if you guys have any hints or tips of your own that might help people, leave them in the comment section down below. If you found the video helpful guys, smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, as there are plenty more Division videos coming your way. If you want to watch us, cracking through legendary modes and kind of seeing how we do it, you can either come and tune in on twitch.tv/P3T3TT, or you can wait for the streams to be archived and uploaded to YouTube a couple of days later. And yeah, for now guys, that is going to wrap up the video. As always agents, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I'll catch you all soon.